Attorney General Merrick Garland has called for the FBI to look into conflicts at school board meetings and what he calls, quote, a disturbing spike in harassment and intimidation and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. This followed a letter from the National School Board Association that referred to violence and threats against public school officials as a form of domestic terrorism. We are joined now by Eric Erickson of The Eric Erickson Show for his thoughts on the situation. Eric, thanks so much for joining us. So want to ask you, and to set the parameters, you and your family, of course, have faced threats, public confrontation because of your political commentary. Does Garland have good reason to have the FBI keeping tabs on what's happening at school board meetings these days?
No, not really. Listen, I think there's a difference between parents showing up at school boards and parents showing up at people's houses. And the latter has happened. And I do think that's troubling, and we shouldn't do that any more than we want Antifa showing up at people's houses to harass them. But at school boards, these are elected officials spending public money. The public has a right to be there and to give input. It's not that the parents are really being violent. It's that the school boards don't like what the parents are saying. And that's become the problem. And in fact, I think when you look at, for example, the state school board in Florida, they've condemned this effort by the National School Board Association, saying you're really bringing harassment on parents needlessly.
Yeah, we know that the letter from the School Board Association asking for help focused on conservative parents, including those who protest masks and critical race theory. Do you see this action by the FBI as encouraging political targeting?
Yeah, I very much do. They clearly are designed to come after conservatives. Interestingly enough, though, it's not even conservatives who are concerned. Yes, conservatives are. But if you look at the demographics and the polling on this, there are a lot of liberal parents as well who are deeply concerned about school closures, mask mandates for children. In fact, we're the only Western country that requires masks for kids in elementary schools. Across the board, parents are concerned. That the left doesn't really realize this. The Biden administration doesn't realize this. It's actually a pretty bad sign for how out to lunch they are and what's happening in the country when they view it as some sort of conservative angst, a Koch brothers funded effort or some such, as I've heard some refer to it. It's really an organic movement of parents across the political spectrum.
Eric, as you mentioned, we are starting to see state school board associations pull back from the national body. Where do you see this all heading?
I very much think they're going to have to back this down. It's not a good look for the administration to say they're targeting parents. I do think that the McAuliffe campaign in Virginia is going to be a test here. If he loses, it's going to be on this issue. And I do think you're going to see the administration have to slightly walk it back, very slowly walk it back. If McAuliffe loses, McAuliffe, of course, Terry McAuliffe, the former governor there running, has been deeply hostile towards parents showing up at school boards, going so far as to say he doesn't think parents should tell school boards what to do. That has hurt him in the polling, and the Democrats are paying attention.
Fascinating. Bottom line, outside of some of these politics, we still have conflict in local communities at these school board meetings. How do you see communities coming together over these strong disagreements about education in their hometowns?
I think we're going to have elections. School boards tend to be elected across the country, and we're going to probably see a lot of primaries happening. And really, that's not a bad thing. I think parents have the ability to shape local public policy towards their kids in schools by having elections and running for office. And if they're that concerned, they should.
All right, Eric Erickson, thanks for your time.
Sure.